Let's talk about House of Spoils, the new movie on Prime Video starring Ariana DeBose. So, House of Spoils is about an ambitious chef who quits her very fine job that she's had for 7 years at a fine dining restaurant so that she can go open her own restaurant in upstate New York. She's doing this with in partnership with a rich friend that she has, and they want to open up the restaurant in this like old house, like, very like picturesque. The problem is that there is a ghost hunting the house, and the ghost is using CGI to mess with like her food and her perception. The house is haunted, she is haunted, and this threatens her soft opening. Ariana DeBose does a lot for this movie. She is the best part of the movie. She does her best with what she's working with. Unfortunately, her best is not enough because what she's working with sucks. The story is not good. The best way for me to sum up House of Spoils without spoiling it is to say that it's one of those that it drags, emphasis on drags you through the story only to in the end tell you it was never that serious. It was never that serious. It wasn't that serious. That's the movie. It feels a lot longer than the hour and 41-minute runtime that Prime says it has. Let's talk about it. So, Chef's storyline, her story, her journey, is that she wants to open her own restaurant. She feels that it's time. She has a vision for a restaurant, and so she wants to open the restaurant. What do witches in a haunted house have to do with that? What do they add to that? What did the supernatural element of this story add to Chef's growth? Nothing. Because did Chef prioritize food over people and so she needed to learn a lesson via the supernatural happenings? No. Was she a boss who treated her employees like crap and needed to learn a lesson? Well, she did treat her employees like crap at certain moments, but that wasn't like how she started out in the movie. That wasn't like a mainstay of her personality, and thus she needed to learn a lesson. That's not it. Did she prioritize processed food and thus like by going through this haunting, like the lesson was for her to learn to use food like grown from the earth and like prioritize fresh food? No, because she wanted to use the garden at the beginning of like when she moved into the estate, but the ghost ruined her garden, the ghost and the rabbit. So what did the supernatural element of this movie do for her other than put her through some stuff? Because the point of the movie was for her to open her own restaurant. She eventually does, and the way the movie plays out, the supernatural stuff was literally just a distraction. Because were it not for the hauntings, she would have popped off like, with her original plan, the way she meant to, the way she planned to. The supernatural stuff added nothing. The big conflict of the movie, the like, everything pops off, happened when Andres took Chef off as main line cook or main chef and put Lucia in her place. That was the big like everything goes wrong. He took her off of out of the kitchen and then he locked her in the cellar because she was for real acting dangerous and threatening. So the big like climax conflict happened because of a very human character. And so then the reason why I say like, if you've seen this, the movie ends up saying like, oh, none of what you just watched happens. It wasn't that serious. So the witches, the woman who used to own the house and her coven, turns out they weren't witches. They were just women who like used leaves and tree barks and the earth to heal people. And, the big bad men of the town accused them of being witches and thus like killed them or whatever. They definitely came for the main witch. And so she had to like dig her way through her cellar to try to save herself. So like they weren't witches, they weren't creepy or anything like that. They were just women who like would meet up in the woods to heal people over a fire. And so if that's the case, since they're good, why what is the point of it? Why were they so creepy? Like if she's a good witch, or if she's not even a witch at all, why was everything so creepy, right? Why was she screaming in Chef's face? Why was her ghostly self screaming in Chef's face? Why was she making her see like spoiled bread and like spoiled food and CGI bugs everywhere? What did the witch want? What was her angle here? Was she trying to be seen and like she wanted somebody to find where her body is? Because that could be the case, but then like the way she was haunting, because she was haunting Chef, was giving get out of my house. It wasn't giving let's make a connection so you can find my body and like finally lay me to rest. I thought before the movie turned out to be nothing, I thought the witch was punishing Chef for not feeding the soil, aka sending to her garden, the witch's prized possession. And then once she started tending to the garden and like picking the flowers and whatever and using the recipes, then everything was going right for her. And then after Chef rejected the witch and her garden and her teachings and literally tore up the garden, she started to mess with her again and make her see things. But she was like not even a witch all along. So what was happening? Like, what was the point? It can't be that the leaves and stuff that she ate were making her hallucinate, because she vomited and pooped all of it out. Biggest thing of all, what the hell was up with Magnus? Chef Magnus, right? Is that his name, Chef Magnus? What was that? Is that one cheap device, one cheap distraction to make us think that this movie had a point and was really about something? Did he go crazy because he's a man? Like, what happened to him? Why was he in the woods? Why the hauntings, just being haunted, make him permanently lose his mind to the point that he was chewing on his finger? Honestly, it just seems that Chef Magnus just went crazy because he's a man. Because like the movie's explanation of what was non-explanation slash explanation of what has been happening and what the real truth is makes it so that Chef Magnus as a character doesn't, and as part of that world, does not make any sense. So after all of the hullabaloo of the slow storyline, Chef emerges from the earth literally as if she's being given birth to, like the earth is giving birth to her. And so once after her witch mother gives birth to her via the earth, she now becomes super chef, as can be seen by the fact that like she cooks a rabbit over a bonfire. So yeah, there are honorable mentions of like sexism in the workplace, like in the chef world. But the thing is that the movie doesn't give a damn enough to like actually explore those things. There's an honorable mention of like misogyny and like men feeling threatened by women because the witches weren't witches. They got like killed by the men who were threatened by them. You don't even really know what timeline they existed in. I guess maybe this was during the witch trials. I don't know. I give the movie 2 out of 5 stars. No, I'm sorry. I give the movie 1 out of 5 stars. The one like row about sexism happens between two women where Lucia calls, because Chef says something about like you can sleep your way into a job, but that doesn't mean you're gonna keep it. As she fired Lucia, and Lucia called her like a sexist pig or whatever. But Lucia did sleep her way. She like you gave us a very obvious shot of the man touching her butt, and she's not qualified to be a sous. Chef shouldn't have said that to her in front of everybody, but she did. She was sleeping with the man. I forgot about that. Like when Chef said that, I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" 1 out of 5.